A manager walked out of a Lisbon office in 1962 and spoke 6 words. They have outlived empires, World Cups, and 3 generations of directors at his old club. The club is still losing finals because of it. By the end of this file, you will know who the man was, what he actually said, and why the streak is not broken. You will also know why the directors may have signed their own ruin. His name was Bela Gutman. He was a Hungarian manager born in 1899, and he spent his whole working life moving through foreign dressing rooms, foreign leagues, and foreign boards of directors. Before he ever reached Lisbon, Gutman had already coached across 2 continents. He managed Sao Paulo in Brazil, Peñarol in Uruguay, and AC Milan in Italy. He was not a man who stayed in one place. In 1959, Benfica came calling. They had never won a major European trophy. The board wanted a man who had won elsewhere, a man with a foreigner's hunger and a winner's habit. Gutman took the job. He took over a squad that included a young forward from Mozambique, a midfield anchor, a steady striker, and a teenage prodigy who would soon terrify Europe. That teenage prodigy was Eusebio. Gutman did not merely inherit him. Gutman built the team around him, and the team changed almost overnight into something frightening. In his first season, Gutman delivered the Portuguese league title, ending an 11-year drought. The directors who had hired him on a gamble were, briefly, vindicated. Then came 1961 and the European Cup final in Bern. Benfica beat Barcelona 3-2. It was the club's first continental trophy. Gutman had delivered what nobody else had. A year later, Benfica went back to the final. This time, the opponent was Real Madrid, the team that had owned the trophy until Benfica dethroned them. The venue was the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam. Benfica won 5-3. Eusebio scored twice. The squad of that era was at the height of its power, and the directors, it seemed, were flush with victory. That is when Gutman made a request. After 2 league titles and 2 European Cups, he asked the board for a pay rise, or a share of the gate receipts. Those close to the negotiations say the figure was modest. The directors refused. They had the trophies, and they no longer needed the manager. The board said no, and the board meant it. Gutman resigned on the spot. He cleared his desk. As he left, witnesses say, he turned in the doorway and told the room what was coming. The exact wording has been argued about ever since. The most quoted version says Benfica would not win another European title for 100 years without him. Historians note that the wording is contested, and the phrase "as we know it" was shaped later by journalists. 1 year later, Benfica returned to the European Cup final. It was the first final without Gutman in the dugout. The opponent, in a cruel turn of geometry, was AC Milan, his old employer. Benfica lost. The team he had built, the squad he had shaped, walked out onto the Wembley pitch and did not bring the trophy home. The board, the directors, the men who had refused his pay rise, watched. 2 years on, another European Cup final. The venue was the San Siro in Milan, and the opponent was Inter Milan. Benfica lost by a single goal, and the director's mood darkened at the edges. By 1968, the drought was no longer a coincidence in the press box. It was a story. The venue was Wembley again, and the opponent was Manchester United, with Eusebio scoring a late goal that changed nothing. A decade passed, then another. The directors changed, the managers changed. The squads turned over entirely. Some of the players in the 1962 final were already playing in lower divisions or coaching Sunday teams. In 1983, Benfica returned to a European final. This time it was the UEFA Cup, and the opponent was Anderlecht. The tie finished level on aggregate, and the trophy went to the opposition on away goals. 5 years later, Benfica played for the European Cup again. The match in Stuttgart finished goalless after extra time, and the trophy was decided on penalties. PSV won the shootout 5-0. Here is the part the case file marks with a heavier pen. In 1990, Eusebio, by then playing for a lower division Portuguese club, traveled to Vienna and visited Gutmann's grave. He went to ask for a change of luck. The European Cup final that year was held at the Ernst Happel Stadion in Vienna, the same city where Gutmann was buried. Weeks after Eusebio's visit, Benfica lost by a single goal to AC Milan. That is the image that kept the story alive. A man, a grave, a final in the same city, and a loss anyway. The press wrote the next chapter without needing to be asked. Years passed, the directors aged, the leagues turned, the squad list was rebuilt from scratch twice over. In 2013, Benfica reached the Europa League final in Amsterdam against Chelsea. They lost 2-1. A year later, the Europa League final again. This time the venue was Turin and the opponent was Sevilla. The match finished goalless and the trophy went to the opposition on penalties. Count the finals: 1,963, 1,965, 1,968, 1,983, 1,988, 1,990, 2013, 2014. 8 European finals since the manager walked out of the office. 8 defeats. That is not folklore. That is arithmetic. Bela Gutmann died in Vienna on 28 August 1981. He never returned to manage Benfica. He never wrote a book about them. He never issued a press release. The phrase the world now calls a curse was coined by journalists and supporters, not by him. So the question is not whether the curse is real. The question is what the directors thought they were saving in 1962. The pay rise they refused cost the club something arithmetic cannot explain away. The men asked for a fair wage. The board said no. The board signed the paperwork themselves in a Lisbon office on a Tuesday afternoon and have been signing away European finals ever since. If this case sat with you the way it sat with me, the next file is already on the desk. The story of a club, a shirt number, and a freak accident that the fans still refuse to name. Subscribe to follow the investigation.